Calm, focus, happiness. Well, as we move forward in the interview, Kerri, I want to ask you 5 quick answer questions. So just 30-second answers are perfect. The first one is this: who is one person who has been a powerful mindfulness influence in your life?
Yeah, Mike Sacco. He is one of my mentors, a former volleyball coach of mine. He was someone who first introduced meditation to me, and he was the one who essentially got me into meditating. Yeah,
Mhm.
he's an amazing person.
Very, very interesting. Okay, well, let's talk about your emotions. How has mindfulness affected your emotions or how you deal with your emotions?
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned earlier, I think when you have a mindfulness routine and you start to build that in, and you have this personality that was yours, right? Or that you're starting in, that
Mhm.
you maybe want to change a little bit. Maybe I want to change how I respond to things. I maybe have a quick fuse and I get angry easily, or I'm really impatient.
Mhm.
So I think having a mindfulness routine, building in just even a little bit of breath work, a little bit of meditation, 5 minutes a day can kind of work to recondition our neural pathways, because we're so entrenched in some of these behaviors and these patterns for so long that it takes, a good chunk of time for our mindfulness practice to really seep in and start to rewire some of those pathways so that we can start to react in a different way, so that we can have more space between our thoughts and our emotional reaction to certain things. So it really helps just slow down. I've just noticed so much more space between when someone says something to me that maybe I would have gotten frustrated with like a few years back, or maybe that would have hurt my feelings
Mhm.
or caused me to do some self-bullying. But now I have just a microsecond more of space to think about, you know, what's really what's really going on here. Like, is that just my 12-year-old Kerri that's wounded and needs just like a little second to breathe, or like a little, warm blanket for a second? Or what do I need here? Like, let's let the better version of myself respond. And so thank goodness, that space is there, because before, and as we all know, many of your listeners know, when often when we say something, when someone says something to us or does something to us and we respond so quickly, is that ever the best version of ourselves? It
Yeah,
rarely is. So when we give
rarely is.
ourselves a little bit more time, even separating just one breath, just someone says something that could be, wounding or rude or hurtful or offensive, just okay, inhale for 4, exhale for 8. And just in those 12 seconds, I allowed my rational brain the chance, the opportunity to turn on, right?
Mhm.
And my emotional brain just a little bit of time to kind of calm down a little bit so that the better version of myself can respond.
Yeah. So interesting. And you touched on breath there. That was going to be my next question about breathing. Can you just touch on it very briefly again about how breathing has been a part of your mindfulness practice?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, breath work is, it's this big umbrella, and I think there's so many different styles of breath work that are underneath that umbrella. And that was something that was just so accessible to me from the beginning. I'd learned box breathing,
Mhm.
and how impactful that was, and how quick it didn't take very long to go through my box breathing. And so that's something that I like to do a lot with my clients as well, and something that's really worked for me because it is so digestible. So you're going through that inhale for 4, that pause for 4, that exhale for 4, pause for 4, all in and out through your nose, and it just creates 2 minutes of just stability for your nervous system. And so if you use that every day, start to build that in just 2 minutes, in the morning every single day, then you will notice your reactions start to shift. Your energy will shift.
Yes, it definitely will. Is there a book that you could recommend that could help our listeners with mindfulness? Maybe there's even a book that could help an athlete with mindfulness that you could recommend. But what have you got
Yeah.
in mind?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the most powerful books for me, and maybe you've read it, is The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer.
Yes.
And it is just gold. Michael Singer is fantastic.
Hmm.
And if any of your listeners haven't read that book, I read it paperback, I listened to it audiobook, and I read it paperback again, and I feel like I'm still getting golden nuggets from it. And so you bet that, like, in my notes section of my phone, there's a lot of, Michael Singer one-liners that are just, they just hit you and you want to close your eyes and let that seep in. And so, yeah, it's such a powerful book. So that
It
one's the
is.
one that comes to mind for me.
It is, Kerri. It's a tremendously awesome book. Tell us about an app. Are there any apps that you would recommend that can help?
Yeah, gosh, honestly, I would say any app that you gravitate toward that has any meditations on it, that's the one where you're going to feel inclined to actually get in there and give yourself a couple minute pause throughout the day, then absolutely. I'm on Insight Timer. If anyone's heard of that, Insight Timer is great. You can go in there and listen to so many different guided meditations, and it's a beautiful, resource.
So
It's
you
really
have some
great.
guided meditations on there. Is that what you're
I
telling us?
do. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. I think I
Awesome.
have guided meditation for anxiety and meditation for sleep on there. So
Excellent.
yeah, those are some good ones yeah, that I really like.
For sure. That's, yeah, Insight Timer is tremendous. It's excellent. Really is. Well, it's been a lot of fun talking to you, Kerri, and so informative and really helpful to understand how we can just grab a hold of some of these tools and techniques that you've talked about and become more mindful and really have a better life. Have
Yeah.
more of a level of contentment, feeling of groundedness, and overall happiness. Have you got a final word of advice you could give our listeners just before we sign off, Kerri?
Yeah, no amount of time is too small to incorporate mindfulness. It can be something, so digestible, that 2 minutes of breath work in the morning, in between client phone calls, just closing your eyes, having some gratitude for yourself, for your body, for your dogs, for your partner, anything accessible. So mindfulness doesn't have to look like something that takes so much of your time. Just mindful attention to kind of separate the thoughts throughout your day, can definitely have a big impact. So string enough of those together and then you'll start to see some cool things happen.
Terrific. Thanks again for being on the show, Kerri.
Thank you so much. And if anyone is interested in finding me on social, I'm at Ready Set Mindful on Instagram and Facebook, and readysetmindful.com. So lots of places. I always appreciate people reaching out through DMs and email Kerri at readysetmindful.com. So yeah, I hope you guys got some golden nuggets out of this and continue to listen to Bruce. He knows what he's talking about in mindfulness mode. And I'm just so grateful to have had this opportunity, Bruce. Thank you so much.
Me too. Ready, set, mindful. Mindful
Ready, set,
tribe.
mindful.
Yes. Remember that. And it's easy to remember too. Ready, set, mindful. So
Yes.
thanks again, Kerri. All the best to you.
Thank you so much, Bruce.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye now.